Warning. The content you are about to watch is hosted by a fat and unattractive woman. If you do not wish to hear another fat woman calling out bad behaviors of fat women, this is your chance to exit the video. You've been warned.
Hello and welcome to this quick episode of Aren't You Exhausted, the podcast. I want to talk about some points in Amberlynn's most recent vlog that she posted a few hours ago now. Sorry about my appearance. I just got back from the pool not long ago. So like my hair's a mess and everything, but I did watch this coming home and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to talk about it. I think we're going to talk about just this point in her vlog and discuss some things. So I'm going to go ahead and play, and I'll stop when I want to discuss some things. Without further ado, let's just get to it, I guess.
So I personally hate that I even have to talk about this, but I'm going to, because not only is it important to me, but it's also important to my mom. I don't even really know where to start. So there is a reaction channel that begs for more side characters on my channel, and
well, I'm just gonna say flat out, I don't know who this reaction channel is. I haven't seen anything on Amber. I know there's always been talk of Amber's mom having a past, especially it's very prevalent throughout like the subreddit and Kiwi Farms and all of that, and even on Twitter. So I'm not really sure on the exact reaction channel. Apparently they did a live stream from Amber's recollection. But I mean it's common knowledge. People want side characters because of the messiness that they often bring. And Amber likes to oblige, I guess.
also begged for my mom to be in my videos. So in my newest video, my mom waves at the camera. You see her hand for a second, and then you see her face for a second. That is literally it.
That's not it. We've seen your mom before. Your mom's been in other vlogs, Amber. Your mom has been in vlogs of yours from when you had cancer and she was coming to visit. Your mom's been all over your Instagram. You have pictures of her on your Instagram account. Not to mention you're friends with your mom on your Facebook page, so which is public. Be more private if you don't want people finding out about people that you associate yourself with, I guess. Not to mention, like, you've already told us that, like, we already have this history with your mother of being this addicted person that had lost their way, and you know you guys were in the foster care and they struggled and you struggled, and like we've already got this painted picture of your mom, and the court records showing the charges against your mom are just proving that point. At this point, I don't think it matters what's been found about her. We're just further painting that picture for people, letting them know what your mom was actually convicted of, what kind of past she actually has, because not everybody can trust your stories about your past. You've been known to lie. Now, I know you want to think that like people can change and like you're not going to lie anymore. You don't lie. You tell the truth, or you're vague about things because you don't want people to know the exact truth. And this is the reason why people question everything that you put out there. This being one of those things. Just saying.
And so this reaction channel took it upon themselves to sit there and read every single charge that my mom has or has not, which I'll explain in a second, gotten in her past. So before I clarify or whatever it may be, any of the charges, I just want to say, like, how does anyone expect me to have side characters on my channel if things like this happen? I'm sorry, but listing off my mom's past charges and the things that she's done over a decade ago on your YouTube channel,
I don't know, maybe just not have side characters that have horrific pasts. I don't know. Have people in your life that aren't messy. There was a reason that your mom wasn't in your life for all that long, and why she's only recently made an appearance. I believe there's even correct me if I'm wrong, there was even a time where you had that beef with your aunt going, and your aunt said that the reason that you and your mom weren't close and your mom wasn't like avidly in your life within the last year, 10 years online, was because you were a risk to her sobriety. I mean, if that's not telling where you stood with your mother, I don't know what is.
During a live stream while reacting to my videos, my current videos, is tacky. It's super tacky.
Is it just as tacky as talking about your family in bad lights, but then when you start to want a relationship with them and your your older age, that things have miraculously changed?
And it's all for monetization reasons, and I think
just like we're monetizing about your mother's addiction and prison time, and you know,
I think it's really pathetic, honestly. So by doing this, like, do you think that's gonna make my mom want to continue being on my channel when people are literally spreading false rumors about her? And not only that, but digging up things.
If they're false, then why does she have an issue? If they're false, why is there an issue?
That she did 2 decades ago. So this reaction channel listed off quite a few things. And yes, some of them my mom very much did. My mom is not afraid to admit to the things that she did during her addiction, because when she was on drugs, she did a lot of things that she is very ashamed of. But everything she confronts head on. She takes accountability. Even to this day, she takes accountability for things that she did even when I was just a child. She has a lot of regrets, I can definitely say that, but she is almost a decade sober. I never in a million years thought that would happen, like truly. Like, my mom is the epitome of you can change. You can be a better person.
That must not have translated over to you. And I'm another thing is, like, your mom is being around you now while you're in active addiction and is enabling it. Going out to dinners, going gambling. Just saying.
And you can do good things not only for yourself, but for the world. So I just want to start off by saying that yes, my mom has been to jail. My mom has been to prison. She has been in and out of jail and prison ever since I was just a little girl. Same with my dad. That is what I grew up with, what I had to deal with.
What you've talked on this platform about millions of times. Well, maybe not millions, but like hundreds of thousands of times. So you can't really like knock people for questioning and wanting to do their own research on how bad things were by digging around court records. And also, like, you condemning people for looking this stuff up and sharing it with the internet when it's not their information to share, obviously. Where was that same thinking when it came to Destiny? Just months ago, or not months ago. We'll give it like 6 months ago. It was roughly around that time, right? Where was that same courtesy for Destiny and her family when you were going to air their dirty laundry about his addiction, her brother's addiction?
I'm getting emotional. I don't talk a lot about these things. Fuck. The fact that
Because this is something you should talk about with your therapist. But we still don't have one of those. And we've been in Oklahoma for how long now? We're planning on moving to Oklahoma for how long now? Seems like something you should get on top of.
I feel pressured to have to speak on this is ridiculous.
Pressured from who? Your mom? Because she doesn't want to be seen as a bad person online, or potential employers, or her family and friends?
Ridiculous. And it's so wrong on so many levels. And I know a lot of people are just not going to care. Like, I just feel like this is wrong.
Is it only wrong because it's coming from somebody that isn't family? It's right when you do it, but when other people do it and share it, it's wrong. If other people monetize off of it and it's not just you monetizing off of it, it's wrong.
But I just feel like I have to speak on this because it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair that you're the only one that not fair that they're monetizing off of it and I can't. So I'm going to monetize off of it in this moment.
Yes, that is something I dealt with. I was in foster care for a reason. These are things that I do not really talk about. And it's because.
And that's why you're never going to go anywhere, Amber. If you can't talk about these things that happened with somebody, obviously a therapist would be the number one person you should probably talk about this stuff with. But you just burying the bad that happened because your mom is now in a good spot is not fixing it. It's not addressing the issues. And her acting bestie with you now is not fixing the 20 years of trauma dumped on you when you were a child and a young adult and needing your mom.
Everything that I say, everything that I do, there's always speculation. There's always people calling me a liar.
I wonder why, Amber. This is what I'll never get. Amber and Chantal have made it a big business on lying to people, on trolling their audiences, on telling half-truths and over-exaggerating. But when they get called out on it, when they get shown that what they're saying is a lie, when they get proven what they're saying is a lie, or that they conveniently misspoke, they start crying and saying, like, you guys misunderstand me.
And I think the subject of foster care, what I experienced in foster care, why I was in foster care, those are things that it's hard for me to touch on because some of the things that I went through sounds like a lie, sounds exaggerated, sounds insane, but it's very much stuff that I went through. I'm not saying my life was any worse than anyone else's, it doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say is that yes, my mom has made some lousy choices. But there is a rumor going around that my mom went to prison for 5 years for killing a service animal. I am telling you right now, that never happened. You have the wrong person. My mom has never been to prison for 5 years, period. The longest she was ever in prison was for 2 years.
My mom has never been to prison for 5 years. She's only been to prison for 2 years.
And that was for drug-related charges, which most of them were. My mom would never hurt an animal. And my mom...
Amber, you said it yourself. The person that she was during her addiction is not who she is now. Who knows what kind of person she was during her addiction? That person could have been somebody that would harm an animal. I have witnessed a number of people in my own family that have went through addiction, and they were horrible. The things that they would do to be able to fund their addiction, to be able to keep up with their addiction. You do not know the depths people will go. So go ahead and remove that from your vocabulary right there. That your mom would never, you don't know. You weren't even with your mom for a good majority of her active addiction. You were in foster care. So you don't know the depths that she would go.
She doesn't care what people think of her.
Obviously she does. You're making this video to try to right the wrong. Amber, come on.
But my mom came to me about this. Not only people are messaging me privately about it, but they're messaging my mom about it.
That's why she's taking the issue with this, because now her mom's having to get involved with making sure that her name isn't torn through the mud and that people don't know what kind of person she used to be in her active addiction. You need to know these things. Her family and friends need to know these things so that they can look out for signs if she ever relapses. Because even though it's been a decade ago, even if it was 2 decades ago, people can still relapse. They need to know the signs and markers to look out for, or if it were to happen again, and what to steer clear of, because addiction can transfer.
My mom was confused. She had no idea where this came from because she has never done that. It's obviously another person with the same name as my mom because that has never happened. And if she did do something like that, she would be the one to admit it.
Would she? Who's going to admit that they beat the shit out of a dog, a service dog at that, or injured a service dog? Who is actively going to admit to that? Nobody.
Things that she admits to, the things that she has done in the past, some of it, it's hard for her to admit to. But the fact is, who you are in active addiction is not your true self. And I'm not making excuses for her.
No, you are actually aligning yourself with her because you yourself are in active addiction. So you're trying to make excuses for her in that regard, because who you are in active addiction right now can't be held against you, but it can.
She has changed so much. She is almost a decade sober, completely different person. But I'm not going to sit here and justify the things that she's done. Neither me or my mom want to do that. But we want to make it very clear that if you're going to name off my mom's charges for a monetization gain on your behalf, at least get your facts straight.
I fucking can't with her. Amber, didn't you speak ill of your aunt, like, I don't know, almost a decade ago? Talking shit on how your family didn't like you because you were fat, and then your aunt said no, it's actually because of, you know, how you treat people and how you talk to people, and other factors were at play there on why they didn't want to be around you. Mostly, I'm sure it's because you wanted to put a camera in their face 24/7 for your vlogs, but also because you talked shit on the family online so often. Ma'am, ma'am, come on.
And stop spreading rumors that aren't.
Stop spreading rumors. Unless I spread them myself, do not spread them for me.
Real.
Come on.
This is not something that I will be speaking about. It's not something,
Ma'am, you're speaking about it right now.
that I'm gonna come back on here, clarify this, clarify that.
I bet you she makes another video on this. I bet you.
Because I think it's bullshit that I even have to do this to begin with. My mom showed her face for a second. And this is the way that reaction.
Again, your mom's face has been all over your Instagram and other places. It's not her face showing up on your video for a few seconds did not have people digging. You showing your mom on video and your Instagram posts and talking about her, that's what people started digging for. If that's what you think that the reason people went digging was because she was on your video for a second, no ma'am. No. Also, you talked about her past so prevalently in your past content that when it was confusing for people that you just would let her back into your life so nonchalantly. And I'm going to use myself as reference. My dad was in heavy addiction. He was arrested when I was 15, 16 for some very serious shit with an ex-wife of his. And all of us kids, all my siblings and myself, went to my mom. I had no real expectancy for what my life with my mom would be. We had visitation with her in the past, but that was a constant like back and forth. But my dad was in active addiction and I didn't even know it. He was like hooked on cocaine and like this myriad of other things that didn't get released until after court that I was oblivious. But as a child, I only saw the mood swings and stuff that would happen. Now, years later that he is out of prison, he has tried having a relationship with me since then, knowing now that he is fully sober. He's still on probation, so he has to see a probation officer to make sure that he's remaining sober, at least until his probation is up. I don't trust it. He's still the same person. Whether he's sober or not, he is still the same person. And not a person I want back in my life. You can't blame the drugs on everything. Some people are those people despite their addictions. They just are very good at hiding it.
Channel is going to behave. It's not a good look. I just wish people would get to know the woman that she is now.
Yes, get to know the woman she is now, who created a woman that is so easily able to convince people that they were essayed by a past relationship when it then came out that they used the wrong word and can't even apologize to said person to clear their name. When they said for years that they had never been bedbound, and then it finally came to light that they were because you told on yourself, and then condemned the person that took care of you the whole time. To lie about engagements and being in love with somebody, to then flat out telling them, I never had those kind of feelings for you. Like, what the fuck? Now, are you going to tell us that you're in active addiction so you can't be held responsible for the person that you've been for the past decade? Bitch, get over it. Get over it. People are going to talk about you regardless. Either learn to ignore it or move on. Just acknowledge that it's not you and move on. There's not much you can do about it. You are just further burying yourself in this hole and making yourself look so much worse, because not only are you allowing your mom to enable you because she's no longer in active addiction, but you're also giving her the out to be in active addiction with going gambling and doing all of this shit that can be a slippery slope.
Now, and not go off of, oh, she did this 20 years ago. Oh, she did this 15 years ago, and she might have done that. Like, no. I just think overall, what my mom did 15 years ago, 20 years ago, doesn't need to be talked about. Like,
why wouldn't it need to be talked about? It formed who you are today. It formed why you, this is a really bad, still to leave it on, but it formed how you interact with people today. And it also, may be a good reason on why you jump from relationship to relationship and can't be alone. Because of the fact that your mother and father were unfit parents and couldn't raise you and had you in and out of foster care.
Why does it matter? People literally live lifetimes. If you guys would have known my mom 15 years ago versus the woman she is now, you wouldn't even recognize the two. It's two completely different people.
I'm betting you it's not. I'm betting you it's the same person. She's just cleaned up. But, that can change at any time. Especially being around somebody that has an addictive personality that could easily lean them one way or the other because they haven't addressed their own addictions.
But regardless, the service animal thing did not happen. That was not my mother. And I just feel the need to stick up for her.
I feel like this was the whole reason that she made this video, is because she's like, my mom did not hurt a service animal. And her mom doesn't want to go down as the woman that hurt a service animal. So she's like, Amber, you need to clear this up. I feel like that's the whole reason for this video, and to monetize it, I guess, but and to show that she's going out to eat with her mom and eating all carbs. How's the diet going, Amber?
Her, because I see how this has hurt her. The fact that people would think that she would do something like that, she wouldn't even do that in her.
She was a former addict. She gave her kids away to the state because she was an unfit parent. How is that beneath her? How?
Her active addiction. I think reaction channels need to stop being tacky, and they need to react to what I'm saying and what I'm showing currently.
Don't dig up my past, because what I said in the past was in the past and doesn't need to be talked on anymore. Fuck right off. Don't talk about what happened 3 months ago or 6 months ago or last year or 2 years ago or when I was still with Becky. Don't talk about any of that shit. Nobody needs to know that. That's not who I am now. Bitch, that's exactly who you are now. The only thing that changes is the way you talk. You'll either be Southern or you get the Valley girl talking. Other than that, you're the same person.
Instead, people constantly try to drum up some stuff from histories ago. It's just like, really? Is that what you have and what you're trying to do? I just think it's really pathetic, because
I think it's pathetic that you're trying to get people to realize what kind of person my mom was when she was in active addiction, or who raised me, or I guess didn't raise me. How dare you show how my mother was when I was in foster care and she couldn't take care of me. How dare you? Fuck you.
Let's switch roles real quick. Imagine if that was happening to you
I lived this. I wasn't in foster care. I just got bounced around to other family members. But I lived this. I lived it much worse than you. But you don't see me here sticking up for my family. Oh, fuck no. No, 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 no. Am I proud of my brother for being sober for like a year now? Yeah. But I know it could change at the fucking drop of a hat. Sobriety is taken day by day, no matter how long you've been sober. I hope the best for him, but I know to keep my distance because I have young children. I have things worth preserving that I don't want to be taken down on that ship with him.
And your mother. Hey guys, so it's been a little bit since I filmed that last clip, and I had to journal afterwards because it put me in a very weird headspace.
Put me in a very weird headspace because I had to think about my past with my mother, and I hate that.
I love to journal, like, where I just let my, like, thoughts just fall, even if they make no sense. Like a stream of consciousness, if you will.
Like a word, a poem that I misused when referencing a situation that happened with an ex.
Started journaling about the aspect of, like, drug addicts becoming sober and them just, like, looking back at the things that they've done to themselves, to the people around them, their family, while they were actively in their addiction. And it's like getting sober and not taking accountability is one thing, but getting sober and taking accountability and every day working towards a better you, like, that means something.
Then why would your mom have issue about people digging up her court records showing what kind of person she was in active addiction? If she's taking accountability for it, she should be like, yep, you know what? That was me and it was a rough time. I'm trying to do better. Every day I try to do better than that person that was in active addiction. But instead, you decided to come on here and bitch at people for bringing up shit that she had done. Okay, she didn't hurt a service dog, but it's not above her, especially in active addiction, to do something like that. You could have just said, that wasn't her. It's probably somebody else with a similar name, but that wasn't her, and been done with it. But instead, we're making a whole video on it, crying and shit, due to our own trauma that we've had with our mother, and just trying to downplay the fact that your mother was a bad person. Okay, she's changed now. Great. I'm happy for you. But she's enabling you now.
That's powerful because I know.
And here we go with more tears. I don't know if she does this for empathy from people, that people will probably feel some way about her crying about this. But this is just more proof that she needs to work through the fucking trauma that of the past that she's had with her mother and her family, and really needs to be in some kind of fucking mental health care, because this flip-flop back and forth on being happy and proud of them and then being sad because people are saying, like, talking and discussing their mother in this light. You should be discussing your mother in this light with a therapist.
How hard it was for my mom. I know how hard it was. And the fact that she was able to do that, and that so many other people are also capable of doing the same thing and improving their life. And there's so many people who are currently drug addicts who haven't changed their lives yet, but they will. I don't like the...
Not all of them will. There's a high likelihood they won't. It's very rare that a drug addict, I shouldn't say rare. It's it's very seldom that somebody that's in heavy addiction makes it out alive. That's just the truth of it.
The thought of people not being able to move on from, like, their past self when they were in their active addiction. I don't like that people are throwing this in my mom's face.
You know, it depends on the situation of the active addiction as well. But if, for the most part, it was just petty crime and it didn't hurt anybody, it's whatever. She can move past that. but also the fact that you have actively brought your your childhood up many times and how bad it was many times to your audience, and now are getting pissy because people are looking to see how bad it was.
Throwing her charges in her face. I'm just talking about the ones that are real. I'm not talking about the service animal because that never happened. Like, how are addicts able to move on with their life?
They're able to move on through therapy and realize, yeah, I had a bad past, and yeah, I was a bad person, and take accountability for it. Yeah, I was a shit person. Every day I try to do better. That's all they can do. That's kind of the repercussions of having a past and not doing things in a good light. You have a past. Like, it follows you. Your past follows you whether you want it to or not. No matter how good of a person you are in present day, that past is always going to follow you. It can haunt you. Be mindful of what you're doing in the present.
You can't just keep throwing things in their faces. I don't want anyone to come across my video, or just like people in general, like talking down about drug addicts. Like, it's just a topic to me that's like hard, and I just can't stand by that. Being a drug addict is a disease, and you do need a lot of help. And after everything my mom's gone through to better herself, and for
Were they talking bad about her, though? I thought they were just reading out her charges. How is that talking bad about her? That's letting you know what kind of person she was prior to getting sober. How were they talking bad about her? They were talking bad about the old her. Who knows what the new her is about? Obviously, there's this little issue with the enabling your addiction that's, troublesome to a lot of people, and how that can be a slippery slope into her addiction transferring to something else, being around you. But, like, who's talking shit on her?
people to just like do this to her, it kind of like breaks my heart, and it breaks my heart for other people as well.
How dare you bring up her past? How dare you bring up her court charges? Her how dare you?
Thankfully, I am able to separate who my mom is now versus who she was. It took some time, trust me, and I just hope that like,
are you able to separate it, or you just push it down because she doesn't show you who she was when you were younger? You know what I mean? Do you just push that version of your mom down and try to forget it because of the trauma that it caused you in your youth? You know what I mean? Again, these are things that you should be working out in therapy, but
all addicts get that opportunity to change, better themselves, and move on after taking accountability for what they've done. And I hope anyone struggling,
Jesus Christ.
this is just hard. Because, like,
my mom and me are being picked on the internet. Now it makes me look bad because I hang out with her and she's my best friend. Even though she gave me up plenty of times, and not long before I had cancer, she told me that I was a that I was a risk to her sobriety, and that's the reason she couldn't hang around with me.
my dad is still an active addict, and it's like, you guys know my brother, like, I don't want to go into detail, but like, it's still in my family, and it's still close to me, and it's hard.
I don't know why. I do, like, sympathize with addicts, even the ones that have made it to sobriety and have had successful sobriety for numbers of years. But I always look at it as, I always look at addiction as, your addiction can go into remission, but it's never fully left you. You're always at the back of your mind making the conscious decision not to fulfill that urge, that need, that craving from that addiction. and how Amber doesn't, see the correlation to that in her addictive eating. But again, like, she feels like therapy is this thing that she can just turn on and off whenever she like needs it. And it's like, no, it's something that needs to be consistent. You're obviously still struggling and having a lot of issues with people's view on your mom from when she was in active addiction in your childhood and all these other things. Like, this is something that you would want to sit down and discuss with your therapist, and maybe why you should take a break from sharing this kind of stuff on the internet. This is a reason, like, the internet is forever. The things that you share on the internet are forever. You sharing the traumatic past that you had with your family, your mother, your father, everybody else in your family is the reason people have the view of your family that they do. And then further proving that view of your family by going and like researching their court documents to see their arrest records. All of this stuff is public. My knowledge, most states, it's public. But nobody would have known if you would have never said anything. That's why people went digging. And it was long before this person ever started listing off the charges on their YouTube channel for monetization. Kiwi Farms has had this stuff for years. I remember seeing stuff about your mom's arrest record on Kiwi Farms years ago. This isn't new knowledge, it's just new knowledge for this creator, possibly. Or it may be something they held in their back pocket for a while until it became relevant. And you showing your mom in your recent video, people wanted to let them know who your mom was.
And more than anything, I just hate that this happened and that this reaction channel got a laugh out of it.
I mean, it's no mystery that you are not well liked on the internet, Amber, and part of that is in your doing and the other part is in people just being hateful, but like, ma'am, your actions have consequences. Your words do get held in account by people. So what you share online, people are going to fact check.
I think it's really sad, but I'm not going to let this get me down.
You've been crying about it literally almost this whole video. It's gotten you down. You've journaled about it. It's gotten you down.
I better not get my mom down because she has worked way too hard to feel bad about herself. I'm sorry that this vlog took this turn, but right now this is reality. But I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Yeah. So I don't know what her outcome for. I'm sure it was just she needed something to post. And why not make trauma content and trauma dump on strangers of the internet while also, shitting on reaction channels for being a little invasive. I wouldn't say that's even invasive because, checking the court dockets, I don't feel is like all that invasive, especially if you know that her mom has a past. We wanted to see what kind of past she has. What kind of person was she while Amberlynn was growing up? You know what I mean? So I don't think that's at fault. It's not doxing anybody. I don't think they shared her like address or anything. And while they could have, I don't think it's relevant anymore because I don't think it was the arrest records were even in the same state. But yeah, I just felt that I had to come in and talk about it. Amber, keep doing you, girl. Keep fighting the good fight, I guess. And your mother should feel bad about the things that she did in her past. And while I don't think people should still be poking and prodding about the things that she did, you can't come on and say, like, she's such this good person now, yada, yada, blah, blah. The past does help define the person that they are today. So take of that what you will. And I hope y'all can work through it. Maybe some family counseling. At any rate, that'll be it for me today. I hope this isn't too long, and I will catch you guys on the next one Friday when I do the introduction to Wheelchair Rapunzel. Bye.